All right, Coach, why don't you just get us started? Just your thoughts on the win.
I thought our kids played really hard. I mean, we forced 30 turnovers. You know, we had really good energy from our bench again tonight. You know, thank God for our bench. And, you know, our kids, you know, we just we did what they do. You know, you got to give them all the credit. You know, they showed up. They were ready to go today, maintaining the right mindset for a game like this.
Just what was different in your eyes to be able to rebound the basketball, especially on your defensive side after you gave up a lot of offensive rebounds early on?
I mean, the challenge is, I mean, we talk about things that I can't talk about in here, but there's certainly challenges that were issued at the half that, you know, if we want to be the team that we say that we want to be, we have to be better, you know, with that. We have to, you know, defensive rebounding is part of defense. You know, we force a lot of turnovers, but obviously we're not a great defensive rebounding team, and I think sometimes it's lack of focus and urgency. And, you know, our kids, you know, they did what they needed to do. What did they end up with? 12. They had 10 at the half, so they had 2 in the second half. We had as many as they did. And you know what? And here's another thing. You know, we keep talking about stuff like that. We force a lot of tough shots and a lot of misses and tough misses. And those aren't always the easiest to rebound. But, you know, we still have to be better. We understand that.
The middle two quarters, I felt like you guys separated the game pretty good. What was the middle two quarters all about?
Just wore them down, you know. We're playing bodies, and, you know, our bodies, you know, they play hard. So when they come out there, our kids play hard. And, you know, the first quarter, you know, teams get excited and they make shots, and then, you know, you hear a lot of cheering and all that kind of stuff, but then people get tired and it gets a lot harder. That ball gets heavy, you know, and so that's what happened again today.
How are you keeping the girls grounded with this season so far for you guys?
And we don't play around. Like, we maintain our sense of urgency. I'm very, with stuff like that, I'm very militant, you know. Winning is fun. All that other stuff don't matter, you know. The silly games and stuff like that, that's not for this program. Like, there's time and place for that, you know. We went to the Virgin Islands for that. We took a loss for that. And it's time to get right. You know, we're here. We're all on a mission, and, you know, our objective is to accomplish some goals. And with those goals, it means you have to maintain a certain mentality, and that's not a sometime thing. That's an all the time thing, and that's how we walk around here.
Each game kind of has its own fingerprint. What do you kind of put your finger on this game to kind of take out?
I just think that ultimately we just wore them down. You know, you could see it, you could feel it. You know, like Roe had been playing really, really well. You know, and, you know, we did a good job on her. You know, Tamar did a great job on her. The kids that guarded her, Clada, like she's just incredibly disruptive. They were incredibly disruptive. And there's a lot of activity out there between, you know, active hands and active gaps and active denials. And, you know, over the course of time, it can be tough. And I think that ultimately we just wore them down. You got to give them credit. Like, they showed up today. They came to play. And, you know, Coach, you know, Sharkey, she does a good job with that young team, and that team's going to continue to get better and better. And, you know, they're a lot. You know, I don't want to say they're like us, but, you know, our first year, you know, Amber and Nuria, we were getting blasted 40, 50, 60 points when they got here. So, you know, a team like Buffalo, you know, it's part of their, you know, their progression. If those kids can stick with it, you know, they're a good group.
DeFreeze had 5 blocks. What'd you like seeing from her defensively?
She was dialed in, and it wasn't just the blocks. You know, she was moving well off the ball, and you could just see she was totally engaged, and you could just see her focus. Sometimes she lacks focus. Tonight she was locked in. She was dialed in. She protected the rim. She's obviously, you know, for her, she can at times be. You know, she could fall asleep sometimes, but I felt like she was dialed in today defensively, and she anchors us, so she's a big part of what we do. We need her to be on point.
11 players touched the floor tonight. How crucial is having all those players come in, getting some more rest for some of the starters?
It's really big. You know, like we play our starters a lot. You know, so you need to be able to have games where you're able to take them off the floor. But I don't worry too much, and the reason being is because we practice like less than 4 hours a week. So like our kids, they got plenty of energy. You know, they can go out there and play hard because they're not practicing, you know, like 98% of the other schools are. And so we're very intentional in our work and what we do in our short practices. And at this time, you know, in the season, our kids understand through film work and through progression, they understand what it is that they're supposed to do. And so they look like a cohesive unit, you know, and so to answer your question, it's still very important that we have a game like this where we can kind of get some kids off the court because obviously you know what's coming, the next game. And, you know, Ilsa played 33 minutes, but she was playing good, and I wanted her to have some success, and she had it, and I wasn't going to take her out. She's not going to practice tomorrow, so she'd be good. She's young. She's 21. So.
I know this one just ended, but any initial thoughts on Ball State?
Yeah, I mean, they're a great program. You know, Brady does a great job with their program. And, you know, they're going to be ready to go for us, and we're going to be ready to go for them. So.